Spring 2009 on TSN is brought to you by the new Q horsepower from Quaker State. Unleash all your horses. And Michelin, a better way forward.
It is a breathtaking view. It is like standing on the edge of the world. It is Cape Spear in Newfoundland, the most easterly point in North America. And you know, I've always believed that Newfoundland also contains probably the friendliest people in the entire world. But you know, thanks to the demise of the fishing industry, Newfoundland has had a few rough patches over the years. But now, thanks to oil, the economy is about to take off. So it seems like a fitting place for Mazda to introduce its brand new 2009 Mazda 6, because like Newfoundland, Mazda has been on a roll. It has tripled sales over the past 10 years. Its Zoom Zoom marketing and its Mazda 3 has really taken advantage of the popularity of small cars. But now Mazda believes the Mazda 6 is about to take it where this company has never been before.
When they first brought the Mazda 6 out, it really didn't compete against its mainstay competition, which would have been the Altima, the Camry, and the Honda Accord, primarily because it was too small, and especially in the rear seat. It was too cramped to be a real family sedan.
Back in 2000, really, after a decade of a lot of difficulty, we started 2000 with a whole new attitude, really the whole concept of Zoom Zoom, which started as a tagline but has really become the company's mantra, took off, and at that time we were selling 50,000 cars in Canada. This year we'll break 90,000, so we're looking at 8 years later. A company that was really struggling back in the 90s has really come of age in the 2000s.
Our customer feedback with the previous generation Mazda 6 said that it needed to get bigger. Customers were looking for more room in the vehicle, and the new Mazda 6 delivers that.
It's the second biggest segment out there in Canada. I mean, this is an enormous segment, and we've struggled in it. Ever since the 626 and then the first generation Mazda 6, we've struggled against really tough competition, the Accords and the Camrys and the Altimas that are out there. And I believe this is going to be our first chance to go out there with a real contender and put up a great fight.
It's as big as the rest of the competitive segment, the Honda Accord, the Toyota Camry, and the Nissan Altima, leading in a lot of those dimensional attributes. And but the car still retains all of its Zoom Zoom characteristics that makes it a Mazda. It's an all-new engine, 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine that's based on the previous 2.3-liter MZR engine. Is 170 horsepower, 169 pound-feet of torque. The V6 is a 3.7-liter, 272 horsepower, 269 pound-feet of torque. It's segment leading with regards to horsepower against the imports.
The 4 is okay. If fuel economy is important, which nowadays with the cost of fuel it should be, then the 4 will be enough for what most people want. I had the 4-cylinder for about 10 days when we did the extended first drive for test drive. The only thing I didn't like about it was that it felt a little sluggish at times. The V6 suffers no such malady. It's got tons of get up and go.
Best thing I've seen in this car right now is the extra room in the rear. It has really get to the point now where it's going to become competitive with cars like the Toyota Camry, Honda Accord, and the Nissan Altima.
In terms of design, I think they've produced a stunning looking car. It's now a Mazda.
It's got a little bit of the RX-8, CX-9, CX-7, and from the rear's perspective, it's got a look of a coupe, sort of a hatchback. And there's not any car in the intermediate segment right now that is as good looking as that car, in my opinion.
They've all now got that family resemblance, and I really do like the front end. The fenders really do make it look different on the road than just about any of its competition. It's not a cookie-cutter shape.
While the general trend is to move to smaller cars, there's still a lot of enthusiasm for performance out there. People aren't going just for economy. Economy is sort of the cost of entry, but they're also looking for some zoom. They're looking for cars that inspire, they're excited to drive, put a smile on your face. And that's what we're about, and that's what we're going to continue to focus on, is continue to make fuel economy a priority, but never lose sight of the fact that the cars have to zoom.
You want to see me try and connect inner-city buses with Formula One racing technology? Stick around, more later on Kenzie's Corner.
Its tenure as one of the rides of choice in the Gran Turismo video game made it a legend. On this edition of Test Drive, the Nissan GT-R. Through 5 generations, the GT-R has been Nissan's flagship for outright performance and advanced technologies. The 6th generation car more than continues the tradition. The GT-R enjoys supercar status right down to its use of lightweight materials and the all but hand-built nature of each car. From just about any angle, the GT-R has a presence so many sports cars fail to achieve. The lone quibble is a rather bland palette of colours. Red is the only one that zings. When you get behind the wheel of the GT-R, there is an awful lot to like. To begin with, these seats are fantastic. Combine that with tilt and telescopic steering wheel adjustment, and I like the fact that the gauges go up and down with the wheel. That means they're always in plain view, and it's very easy to find the right and correct driving position. As for the rest of it, a great sound system with a navigation system, and there's enough on the hard drive to store your own music collection. The 2 things I don't like, pretty simple. These shift paddles should be on the steering wheel, not on the steering column, and if you're in the market for a car with a back seat, even a token back seat, this is not your car. Lift the GT-R's hood and you'll find a quad-cam twin-turbo 3.8-litre V6 engine. Using the latest technologies and 11 psi of turbo boost, this thing churns out 480 stallions and 430 pound-feet of torque, anywhere between 32 and 5200 RPM. It is about as subtle as brass knuckles because of the torque plateau. The remarkable part is that in spite of the engine's high-strung nature, it is eminently drivable about town. The engine's rampaging fury is channeled to the road through a twin-clutch 6-speed manual gearbox. The gearbox is one of the fastest around, as it snicks off a gear in just 0.2 seconds with each flick of the paddle shifter. It also has the uncanny knack of being able to find the right gear at the right time when it's left in the automatic mode. So what does all of that technical mumbo-jumbo mean for the driver? Well, if you stand on the gas pedal, you'll warp through 100k in about 3.8 seconds. Keep the hammer down and you lose your license a couple of heartbeats later. But what's more impressive, when they were testing this car, they proved it around the Nürburgring. Now this thing lapped that course in 7 minutes and 38 seconds. Is that fast? You betcha. 10 seconds faster than a 911 GT3. The all-wheel drive system directs the power to the wheels best suited. Under normal circumstances, 90% of the power is fired rearward. If wheel spin is inevitable, the system locks the transfer case and splits the power evenly, and it does so in a proactive manner. Factor in the adjustable double wishbone front and multi-link rear suspensions, an oversized 255 40R20 front and 285/35 ZR20 rear tyres, and you complete a very pretty picture. The car goes where it's pointed, and it does so in the blink of an eye. The good news is that the rapid nature of the GT-R's reflexes does not make it difficult to live with when trawling about town. The reason these brakes are world-class boils down to their makeup. To begin with, 2-piece floating rotors that are cross-drilled and vented. They're at all 4 wheels. Up front you get 6-piston Brembos and 4-piston Brembos in the back. The net result, you jump on the brake pedal at 100k, you get to rest in about 30 meters. Now that is world class, but better yet, you keep hammering that brake pedal time and time again, you will not run into brake fade. The adjustable suspension comes with comfort and normal modes, as well as the R mode. Now it sharpens things to racetrack-like levels. Select the R mode for the electronic stability and traction control system, and it moves the intervention point further out so you can hang the tail out before the nanny wags a finger. It can also be turned off, which is not a bright idea. Finally, the driver can adjust the transmission's characteristics. In this case, the R mode is basically redundant as the shifts become almost too quick to live with anywhere but out on a racetrack. The list of world supercars just got longer by one. You can now add the Nissan GT-R to that list. From its all but hand-built engine and the power it produces, to the twin-clutch manual four-wheel drive and the manner it dances around a corner, this thing can run with the big dogs. But it enjoys a significant advantage. With just a little tiny raise from Mr. Diamond, even I could afford a GT-R.
That's Suzuki's biggest problem. They're still associated with lower cost vehicles. They're building much better vehicles than people actually give them credit for. And getting credit for that from the general consumer is still the biggest issue they have.
Make sure you check out motoringtv.com. Along with catching programs you may have missed on TSN, we have now posted our nominees for top vehicles of 2009. We want you to vote, and we'll have your results and our results on the upcoming 1-hour Car of the Year special. All the details are at motoringtv.com. You know, whether you're purchasing the base Mazda 6 or the fully loaded GT, Mazda made sure that from an exterior point of view, they all look the same, with the exception of the exhaust pipes. Fairly ordinary in the base model, but very cool in the GT. Now, they tell me the demographics for the Mazda 6 is 40 to 60, which I can relate to. So with that in mind, plenty of room in the interior, front and rear. And in the trunk, lots of room for your golf clubs or anything else that your better half may want to put in there. And you know what they say, happy wife, happy life, if you know what I mean. All right, let's head to the Quaker State Garage and join Bill Gardiner.
Brad's a poet and he doesn't know it. Anyhow, this week I want to talk about vision and how important it is to maintain your vehicle. There's a number of little tweaks you can do to your vehicle when you get a nice day like today. We know that winter weather is just around the corner, so we're going to take advantage of this great weather today to go through our wiper system, our washers, our windshield, etc. Make sure that we're going to have great vision when the snow does fly. This pivot point on your wiper arm is so important because if it gets stiff or seized, as it often does by January or February, you won't get any downward pressure against the wiper blade, and it doesn't matter how good a blade you've got or what you treat the windshield with, you won't have good performance. So what you want to do is spray a little bit of lubricant and penetrant on this area. Make sure that you've got the windshield protected with a towel. Work it in there, and then wipe off all the excess so it doesn't get to that glass. Secondly, go up to your wiper blades and make sure that you've got good quality wiper blades that are the proper ones for the season. Now, this particular blade's still in good shape. Some vehicles have a refillable strip. You can actually replace the rubber strip on Honda, Toyota, Hyundai, and a lot of Asian manufacturers use a refillable blade. But a lot of drivers prefer switching over to this type of a blade for the winter time. This one's jacketed with rubber so it won't clog with slush and snow, and a lot of older drivers really prefer these blades. If you've driven with these for a couple of winters, apparently you're really sold on them. I know a lot of my customers have me install them when they have the snow tires put on. Now, if your car has the capability of lifting the wiper blades off the windshield, that's certainly what you want to do when there's freezing rain or snow in the forecast, because it'll make your life a whole lot easier the next morning when you come out and have to clear that windshield. Now, one other thing you want to keep in mind, I know when I'm jumping in and out of a lot of customers' cars, at least once a week I get in a car where I need to put that visor down because I'm, driving into a sunset and I'm blinded. I pull the visor down and there's an avalanche of debris that comes down off the top of the visor. So if you're in the habit of storing stuff on your visor, buy one of those visor organizers and get all that clutter out of the way so that you can use that all-important visor. Now, if your washer jets are clogged up, a piece of tag wire fed through that jet is the way to clean those out. And on some cars, you can actually put a dressmaker's pin in the jet and move the jet around to get it aimed properly on the windshield. And in most cases, if your car is so equipped, the owner's manual will demonstrate how to do that. Under the hood, make sure that your washer fluid pump is in good shape, providing lots of pressure to get that fluid up there. And if you're switching over to premium washer fluid from the run-of-the-mill stuff, siphon all the old fluid out of the container so that you get the full benefit of the premium washer fluid. You'll have better vision, I guarantee it. Till next week, I'm Bill Gardiner for Motoring 2009.
Looks like I have you at 1908 Colonel Sam Drive in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada.
Could you unlock our door for us?
Sure, I'll send a command to unlock the driver's door and we'll be off the line here for just one moment, okay?
Thank you. And while we're waiting for this, she is sending a data signal back over the cellular telephone to the car, and the OnStar hardware right there will unlock the door. And there we are.
It was back in 1998 when General Motors first introduced the OnStar system. Among the many security and safety features was the ability to locate your stolen vehicle. Well, recently, GM and the Toronto Police Service demonstrated OnStar's newest feature, and it's called Stolen Vehicle Slowdown.
How it works is essentially you do what you've done in the past. If you are a customer who's had their vehicle stolen, you either contact OnStar or you contact the police and you make them aware of the fact that your vehicle is missing. Law enforcement will work with OnStar to track the vehicle. The law enforcement says, okay, we've got a situation, OnStar, where the vehicle is moving or where there's a suspect that is engaged in activity we're a little concerned about. What we'd like you to do is slow down that vehicle. The OnStar advisor will first ensure that we're looking at the right vehicle, and they'll do that by flashing the parking lights to essentially let the police officer know that OnStar is in fact in control of that vehicle. The driver of the vehicle will not be aware of anything happening whatsoever. The officer acts as the eyes of OnStar in that instance and will basically say, yes, at this time it is safe to initiate stolen vehicle slowdown. The OnStar will send a signal to the OnStar module, which sends a signal to the powertrain control module and tells the engine basically zero throttle. The suspect, all he'll feel is, I seem to have lost power. A display will come up on the driver information center saying, reduced engine power, and they'll think it's perhaps is a mechanical issue, and will start to drift to a stop. And at that point, they'll probably notice that there's flashing lights in their rear view. There are in excess of 1 million vehicles stolen every year in North America. So there are very, 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 very high numbers, and that equates to in excess of 30,000 police chases, actually. So we're talking really high numbers. When you get right down to the bottom line, up to 300 fatalities a year can be directly attributed to high-speed chases involving stolen vehicles.
Well, I think any system that with this type of technology is certainly going to be much safer when we get in these type of situations. So anything that will increase public safety, I think, is going to be a really good thing.
We've got 5.3 million subscribers for OnStar in North America, so it's a significant number. We have an excess of 400,000 in Canada, so there's quite a few people that this could impact as the technology is rolled out on more and more General Motors vehicles.
Go put the cuffs on it.
Closed captioning on Motoring 2009 is brought to you by the 2009 Chevrolet Traverse Crossover. It's everything you've ever wished for, and then some.
I've always been skeptical about hybrid technology, particularly in small cars. I mean, small cars got great fuel consumption anyway, and adding a bunch of weight, cost, and complexity, I'm not sure it ever actually pays off. Well, the experience that the City of Toronto has had with a fleet of hybrid diesel-electric buses suggests that maybe it doesn't work that well with big vehicles either. Now, the Daimler bus company, which built these things, claimed they'd get 30 to 40% better fuel consumption, and the batteries would last 4 years in normal use. This was based on experience in New York City. The City of Toronto is finding out they're getting maybe 10% tops in fuel consumption advantages, and the batteries are failing after only 18 months. They're thinking now of scrapping the whole program and going to new clean diesel technology buses. They cost like $250,000 less, and new diesel technology, well, it is pretty spectacular. So where this is going to go, we're going to find out. A couple of other tidbits on the hybrid front. Hard for you to believe, I know, but there is another television program about automobiles out there. It comes out of England. And they ran a little segment showing a Prius on a racetrack going as fast as it could go. And then they ran a BMW M3 at exactly the same speed. And the BMW got better fuel consumption than the Prius. Apropos of nothing maybe, but I thought it was kind of funny. And also, Formula One is looking at developing some sort of regenerative energy technology for the next coming season. So maybe there'll be hybrids on the racetrack as well. And finally, Steve Wozniak, the Wizard of Oz, the guy that invented Apple, he's been getting speeding tickets over 100 miles an hour in his Prius. And the reason he's doing that? He wants to prove that hybrid technology is not just about going 35 kilometers an hour in the city. It can be fast, it can be exciting. So, hybrid technology makes our cars go faster? Maybe it's not such a bad idea after all. I'm Jim Kenzie.
As I mentioned off the top of the program, Mazda is hoping that the new Mazda 6 will take a big chunk out of the intermediate segment in this country, and that's about 200,000 vehicles. Can they do it? Well, I like this one. It's more improved. It's a little bigger than the old Mazda 6. In fact, I've always liked the Mazda 6, and my very first brand new vehicle was a 626 back in the late 80s. Now, Mazda believes that the inline 4 will be its big seller. I kind of agree with Graham, who earlier said that the inline 4 is adequate. And I think when you spend this kind of money, you deserve more than just being adequate. If it's my cash, I'm going with the V6. It just gives a whole new personality to this vehicle. In fact, you might say it puts the zoom zoom into it. Anyway, I think Mazda will accomplish what it set out to do, and that is put the Mazda 6 on the same shopping list as the Accord, Camry, and Altima. That's it for now. We'll see you next time out as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
I don't know why they need it. Maybe they felt that they didn't have anything that was really kind of glamorous. Like you look at a lot of their trucks, they don't have anything that's a little, sculptured like this one is. They seem to think that this is going to be an aspirational vehicle for them. People will say, oh wow, look at that, I gotta have one of those. And it does look real good, and maybe they're right about that.
Motoring 2009 on TSN has been brought to you by the new Q Horsepower from Quaker State. Unleash all your horses. And Michelin, a better way forward.